What's good? We are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Vibe Podcast, where it's not about men, it's not about women, it's about bringing two beings together to create one. Where we have relationships and we build relationships centered around love. I'm still trying to figure that out. It is your boy Bake, man. Today we got a good one for you. Today we're talking about something that gets very confusing at times for a lot of us. We're talking about companionship versus partnership, the difference between the two, because sometimes you can confuse partnership for companionship. And I'm going to dive into that in just a few. But before we do that, let's go over the difference between the two, right? When we're looking at companionship, and then we're going to compare them, and then we're going to talk a little bit about that. So bear with me. Companionship is someone who accompanies another person, you know, it provides friendship, support, and often emotional connection. Companionship implies a more personal and social bond, and it is often seen in the following context: as a friend, right? Um, as someone you can travel with, right? Pets, right? And then social, like a companion, social setting, like someone who attends events with you and things like that. And so when you think about a companionship, it's just somebody who you're looking for to have company with. You don't want to go somewhere alone. You want somebody to accompany you. It doesn't always mean that you want more. You just kind of want somebody's presence. Um, you know what I mean? And this happens a lot of times when you are vulnerable, when you are by yourself, when you're dealing with a lot of things in your life and you just want somebody around. You don't want to feel like you're always alone. And we're going to dive into the comparisons in just a few. Okay, so let's get into partnerships. Like I wrote it down. A partnership is a collaboratorial relationship where two or more parties work together towards a common goal. This term is broader and can be applied in various contexts, including business, right? You can have a business partnership, projects, and somebody you partner working together on specific projects, sharing tasks, education, right? It could be something that you're working with an educational partner with schools, parents, and you got like a team when y'all working together to complete a task. And then personal. In a personal relationship, a partnership often implies a romantic relationship or a life partner where both individuals share responsibilities, support each other, and work together towards shared life goals. When you think of a partnership, you think of a teammate, somebody who you are trying to connect with to better the team. So let's say the goal is, marriage. So you guys are working together to accomplish that. So eventually get married and have kids and support each other. You don't really see a lot of partnerships. You see a lot more companionships that is masked in almost like a partnership, but it's really not. And we're going to get into some of the comparisons, and then I'm going to break down some of my differences and things like that, okay? When it comes to the comparisons, the nature of relationship, companionship, primarily social, emotional, focus on providing company and support, right? Where partnerships, collaboratory goals orientated, focus on achieving specific outcomes together, right? Let's talk about that right there. When it comes to the nature of relationship and how it gets confusing. A companion is somebody that's almost like a temporary thing. It feels temporary. I don't even think that's a word, but it sounded good. It feels temporary. It doesn't feel long term. It's mostly convenient for the right now. I'm not really thinking about forever. I just need somebody to come for right now. I need somebody to help me deal with what I'm dealing with right now. I haven't been able to process my stuff alone, or maybe I've been processing too much and I just want some company. I just want somebody to hang out with. I just want somebody to chill with. I just want somebody to vibe with. And what we call them nowadays is sometimes we call them sneaky links, right? I don't really want to invest in a relationship with you. I just want you for convenience. Because right now, I'm really not, maybe not into you in that way. Maybe I'm not really trying to be in a serious relationship. And I just want something from you, right? It can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be something for the time being, but it's temporary. I just like that word, even though it's not. But it's temporary, put it that way. It's not long term in the end. There's no vision of trying to make it a long term thing. It's only for the right now. In the counseling context, it's for the here and now. We just focus on the right now. We're not thinking about what we're trying to do for the future and what we're trying to do later on down the line. We're just focusing on the right now. How do I get the right now type of stuff, right? But then when you think of a partnership, that's more futuristic. That's like we're coming together, we're working towards a common goal. Why are we dating? Are we dating with intentions, or are we dating just because it's convenient? Are we dating with an intent to try to maybe get into a relationship, or are we dating just because we lonely and we just feel like we need somebody, right? This is when it starts to get very confusing and conflicting, and somebody eventually is going to get hurt because you're not on the same page. You guys are not working towards the same thing. Somebody is only talking to you for a convenient state for right now, but they're not really intending to date you long term. You know, you see a lot of companionship, especially when you go on dates nowadays, and I'm gonna get on that in just a few. But let's give it some context, right? Companionship more informal and personal, such as friendships, travel buddies, pet relationships, right? It could be anybody or anything, I should say. Any living thing, right? I don't think you need a car. That'd be crazy. You start thinking of this car as a companionship. But a partnership is more formal and structured, such as a business, a project, and collaborative efforts, right? The focus. Let's focus. Focus on the emotional support, shared experience, and personal connection, right? Where partnership focus on shared goals, responsibilities, and mutual benefits. Look, those two can coexist. But what happens and what gets confusing is understanding the direction of what this situationship or relationship that you guys are building is being founded and started from. And I think that a lot of times where it get confusing is because there's a lack of communication. There's one person who's communicating this is what they're looking for, and there's another person that's not necessarily agreeing, but they're kind of, going with the flow. You hear things like, hey, I really want to, be in a relationship. I really want to work towards marriage. And then somebody can be like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, 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 me too. I don't know when, but eventually, right now it's a lot going on in my life, and I got to figure some stuff out. What that pretty much is really saying, and it's just to be honest, is it's a nice way of saying, look, I'm really not trying to invest in us the way you're trying to invest in us, but I'm just here for the moment right now because I'm really in need of just company. I'm really in need of just having somebody. And I think that some folks get confused in thinking that when you're working towards something that you're really not. A lot of us are not in relationships with our partners. We're in relationships with somebody who's a companion, just somebody for the right now. And we're not happy. We're not invested fully. We're looking for outs. That's why you're not satisfied. That's why your hunger's not satisfied. Because you got somebody as a placeholder. Because you don't really have the real thing. I do believe that when you have the real thing, you're not really looking for a lot of other things. And don't get me started with people that's just with each other because y'all been together for a super duper long time. And so it's just comfort. It's familiarity. It's somebody you didn't spend, because here's my thing, and I'm a firm believer on this. I believe that when you find somebody that you feel is your partner, I believe that that's somebody you really don't want to let that go. Now, I understand we get into the muddy waters where we get into men who don't cheat on an emotional stint. They cheat on a physical stint where they just want to, do some things and have something on the side, but they not letting that man go. That's a selfish type of person. And I'm just keeping this, calling this space. That's a selfish type of being, because you're fully not satisfied. Because if you're fully satisfied, you don't need nothing else. There's always going to be something you can dibble and dabble in. There's always going to be something that intrigues you, that wants you to step outside of a relationship, step outside of a marriage. But when you find a partner, you don't want to let that go. And the thing is, how do you know if you got a companion or a partner? You know what I mean? You start talking about your vision. You start talking about your goals. You start talking about the end. What are y'all working towards? There's a mutual investment. It doesn't mean that it's always going to be the same person investing all the time. I mean, going to have the same amount where y'all both putting in the same 50-50. Some people may be at one point in your life, you may be at 75, the other person may be at 25. And then there may be somebody that's going to be giving you the other 75, and then you giving the 25. At the end of the day, y'all making up 100. But the end goal, y'all on the same page, and y'all both want the same thing, and y'all inseparable. Y'all loving each other. Like I said in the last video, man, I see my boy DJ and his wife. You can tell that's his partner. You can tell. You can't deny it. That's his partner because of how they interact. It ain't perfect, but it's perfect for them. It works for them. They're back and forth. The debates, conflicts. At the end of the day, they're not letting that end goal get confused or mudded or blurry. They have a strong foundation. They have God in their foundation. A lot of people don't have a strong foundation. And so they're in a relationship with somebody that is a companion, but they're not their partner. And they kind of stay because it's convenient. They kind of stay because it's familiar. They kind of stay because they really don't want to go through the effort of trying and starting all over. So they accept mediocrity. They accept things that is below their means. And I understand it's tough, man. When you're lonely, you want somebody sometimes. You just want somebody around. And there's nothing wrong with wanting companionship, but don't let the companionship confuse you to thinking that this is your partner. I'm not saying a companionship can't turn into a partnership where it then becomes into a lifetime relationship, but don't let that companionship, that those moments where you're like, man, I really don't see that person like that. I really ain't vibing. I really ain't getting that vibe. I really truly feel like there's a feel, not a feeling, but there's something. I don't care what nobody says. I know people always say there's no such thing as that moment or love at first, but I know there's a moment, there's something that you feel that makes you want to continue to conquer the world with that individual. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not trying to think of it like a love story from a movie, but it's something that makes you want to keep fighting for that person. There's something that makes you want to keep doing whatever it takes to make it work. I've seen it. I remember I talked to a girl who was with an F boy, did her crazy, and she was so stuck on him. And it was something about the situation that had her continue to fight for somebody that wasn't even healthy for her. Real talk. Was nothing but damaging. And I don't know if sometimes we can hold on to moments and we can put it in our head to think that maybe it can go back to that. But in actuality, it may not ever go back to that because it was temporary. It was a companion for the right now. Ooh, that hurt. It was seasonal. Ooh. It wasn't lifetime. It was something for the moment. And that's the hardest thing to accept, that sometimes people come in your life for a season. They're not meant to be here for a long time. They're only meant to be here for momentarily, for a temporary fix. It's not the manager. It's a what they call that, replacement, temporary replacement. But it's not the permanent position. And that's the part that is so hard for a lot of us, even myself, to accept, where you try to make things work with people that you know you ain't supposed to be with. You try to do everything in your power to make it work when you know that ain't the person that you really want to talk to. Because you yearning for a partner and you trying to turn a companion into a partner, and it's never going to work that way. When you want something and it's meant to be in your life, it doesn't feel hard to attain it. Now, it is a work to keep it flowing and keep it going, but it's not, you wouldn't have to try so hard to for the individual to see you. A lot of us is trying so hard to be seen by the wrong person. We're trying so hard to be looked at, valued, accepted, appreciated by the wrong person. And then, like I said in the last video, and we're going to talk about it in another one, we miss out on good people. Good people are hard to find. People think that it's easy to find another. No, it's not. Good people are hard to find. And the moment you start to realize that, the moment you start to understand that, the moment you start to appreciate when you got something good, you don't want to let that go. When you got something good, you want to try to work to try to figure that part out and try to make it work. When you got something good, you want to get rid of these stereotypical materialistic lists of, oh, my man has to be, oh, my woman has to be. All that stuff fades. It's about coming together for a common goal and being genuine about it, being authentic about it. Like I said, I love to big up my boy DJ and his wife, man, because they have something that is so unique, that is rare to see. People at my church, the Young Bloods, they have something that is so unique. It's just, you just feel the joy. My OG and his wife, they have something that is so unique. It ain't perfect, but it's beautiful. It's a partner. And I encourage each and every one of you to be patient until you find your partner. Be patient until you find the person that you are supposed to be with for the rest of your life. And then that can be your companion. But it's different when you have a partner who's your companion rather than you have a companion who's not your partner. I'm just saying. But anyway, I don't want to talk up a storm or whatnot, but I just want you to understand there's a difference between the two. There's nothing wrong with having people in your life to comfort you, when you want some company, when you want some, I get it. You want some love, you want some affection, you want to feel worth. You want to feel appreciated, you want to feel acknowledged. because you're not getting that acknowledgement from that person that you really want acknowledgement from. It's a topic for another day. But you know who will always give you acknowledgement? God. He's always there. He ain't never left. And that's the first person that you will want to seek partnership with. But anyway, man, I digress. What am I to say? What am I to know? Who am I to know whatever the little thing is? But y'all have an amazing day, man. Drop a comment on your thoughts on the difference between companionship and partnership. And which one do you prefer if you had to pick? I know which one I'm looking for. And then ask yourself, if you're in a relationship, do you feel like you found your partner? Or is it somebody you just think that is a companion that you kind of settled? And it's not, hey, there's no right or wrong. I'm not here to break nobody up. I'm just giving out info. I love you. Welcome to another edition of the Vibe Podcast, where it's not about men, it's not about women. It's about bringing two beings to create one and center our relationship around love. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.